Building up a dynasty from the scratch in Crusader Kings 3 is lots of fun. But let's be honest, is it still a lot of fun if your dynasty became huge and overpowered after a few generations of play? Don't worry, because now I'll show you a very easy strategy on how to create a brand new dynasty mid-game, playing as a bastard founder that is still an ancestor of your previous dynasty. That way you can enjoy the late game features of primogeniture or Black Death, while still having the huge fun of building up a completely new dynasty as a disgraced bastard. Now, first of all, you have to, of course, understand what makes a bastard founder. For that, I'm actually playing as Raymond V of Toulouse right now, and he has 3 bastard childs, where 2 of them are actually already adults. And the only thing that makes a bastard founder is not getting landed or something. It really doesn't matter if you are landed, you won't become a bastard founder. The only thing that makes you a bastard founder is to have a child. And then something happens that you can see on this mayor over here, that you can see he has a child and he was a bastard before, and he was a bastard of a pretty renowned house, for example, and he started a completely new dynasty where he is now considered the founder of that dynasty with the bastard founder trait. Now, of course, playing as these characters is a little bit more difficult because, you know, you can only play as your dynasty and then after that become a bastard founder to start a new dynasty as the player character. And there are 3 different play styles that you can do that with, which the first of which is probably the most easiest and also most interesting one, which is to play as a bastard Crusader King or Queen. And for that I am right now in a crusade for Jerusalem, and you can see I am of course the first in rank. And you can also see that I have created a beneficiary, of course, for myself, which in this case is my daughter and bastard daughter, to be exact, that has no children yet and therefore is still considered House of Toulouse, okay? Now we are at 100%, so I can just wait, you know, until this crusade ends and then we're going to see what happens. Because, of course, once the crusade ends, the character that is the beneficiary will then become a landed character. You can see now my bastard daughter over here is now the holy monarch, the Crusader Queen of the Crusading Kingdom of Andalusia. And then if I let the game run a little bit longer, you can see that I have this choice over here, a new kingdom, where I can choose to play as my bastard daughter straight away, as she's the Crusader Queen, right? And if I do that right now, all I have to do right now is simply to get a child and then I will become a bastard founder. This is now the player character, so I can do with that whatever I want, you know, just for example get an alliance over here, of course matrilineal, and just wait for a child. So now you can see that my queen, my previous bastard daughter, that you can see she's still a bastard technically, is pregnant for 9 months already, and that means that within a few days, she will get a child, okay? And that is the critical point where a bastard becomes a bastard founder. I'm just going to let it, happen right now, and you're going to see how this works. Because after you get the child, you're going to see that you lose the bastard trait, you gain the bastard founder trait, and you of course get your new heir and so on, right? Now that also means that you can see it already, that you literally found a new dynasty. And even though I'm playing right now on, of course, Iron Man achievement available game, and I started as the Toulouse dynasty, I am right now playing as the House Guardito dynasty. Of course, you can fully customize that new dynasty as you will, because you are, of course, the house head and the dynasty head, because you are literally the founder of that new dynasty. And the interesting part is that you will still show up on your previous dynasty. So I'm, of course, still, considered a child of a Toulouse dynasty. And therefore, if I have a look on the Toulouse dynasty tree, you're going to see that there is my character that is now considered as a starter of a new dynasty, but still, of course, an ancestor of, all of that huge dynasty that you were in before. Okay, so you can still track down your previous dynasty path, but you actually have a new dynasty that you are the founder of, that you can now build up again, even though the game has already, passed a lot of time, right? So that's really the biggest interesting part of that. You can start again with a new dynasty, with a new very interesting character that is the bastard founder, right? But you can do it mid-game, so you can do it in a world that you already formed and played in, with a new goal that you have from there on. But that's of course not all. There are two other ways to play as a bastard founder without having to win a crusade, which are very much way easier, so I'm going to talk about that now. So another very interesting way to play as a bastard founder would be, of course, to let him inherit all of your previous titles, right? And to do that, you just have to give one of your bastard heirs, especially in this case a male heir, because you cannot grant land to women in Catholicism, for example. You have to grant that person, that bastard of yours that you want to play as later, you have to grant him one of your vassal's titles, okay, so that he becomes your vassal. So I can, for example, grant my bastard son over here this small county over there, and then of course he will be my vassal. Now what I can do next is I can go to my primary title, in this case the Duchy of Toulouse, could be any kingdom or empire, right? And add a succession law, and I can add a feudal elective law every single time on every feudal realm basically, for just 1500 prestige, and I can just add that to the primary title. And now what I can do is I can vote. And I can also vote for vassals, okay? Because that's the same principle as in the HRE, right? You can basically vote for anyone, but especially your vassals, because they can vote for themselves, of course, right? Now that means that I can now vote for my vassal that is also my bastard son. And normally, you can see that over there, bastards cannot inherit titles, and also not your title, right? But if I now vote for him, you're going to see that he is now my primary player heir. And this is literally the case because the heir of my primary title is also part of my dynasty. That makes him my player heir, as you can see. And that means that all I have to do right now is basically to get abdicated, for example, by, a tyranny war. Let's just revoke that title over there. And now, of course, I can surrender, and you can see I'm deposed. I can just now become deposed, and in the end screen right now, I can just play as my player heir, which is, of course, now the Duke of Toulouse, and still a bastard child that I played before of the same dynasty. And now there's just the same thing that I have to do as in the Crusader path, which is basically I just have to find a spouse and get any child. And I'm just going to do that, and we're going to see how it evolves after that. Okay, so you can see same thing as with the Crusader Queen a second ago. My wife is now for actually 9 months pregnant again. And that means in a second I will gain my first child, and therefore, as always, I will lose my bastard trait, I will become the bastard founder, and I will of course gain my new heir and my new dynasty that you can of course see if I open the dynasty tree, I am considered the founder of that dynasty again. And also, same thing again as last time, I am also considered part of the Toulouse dynasty, but in this case still with the same primary title that I've, built up in the years before. So I can literally play as a bastard founder with all of my land that I conquered or inherited before. So that's a really nice option if you just want to have a new dynasty, a new ruler, a new destiny, but not a new empire. Then the third very interesting option is to actually play as a bastard founder and as a mer count or adventurer, if you will. So basically not become a mighty king or passing your huge realm that you built up before, but really starting from the bottom again with like one county or something, right? And to do that, it's very simple that you only have to, again, have a bastard, of course. I'm going to take the same bastard in this example, and that I used for inheriting my primary title. But instead now, I'm not going to make him my primary heir because I want, that to fall off to a different line of dynasty. I just want to give him a small but nice county that he can rule in as a bastard founder when I place him later. And for that I'm just going to grant him the domain of Montpellier over here, because Montpellier actually has quite a nice mine over here, so quite interesting thing to have, I think. So now you can see he is my vassal, but still he's not considered in the succession line. You can see that because, of course, he is a bastard and I'm also not having a feudal elective realm or something, right? So he's literally just a mer count right now. But now what I can do is I can, of course, be abdicated again. Let's just try it the same way that I did it before. There is the war, and I'm just going to surrender it and will be deposed again, of course. There we go. And now you can see that there are a few interesting options that I could play as, the same thing as I had before. Adventurer, I can become the queen of Andalusia because it's an interesting character of my dynasty, but I can also become the Count of Montpellier because that is one of the few counts of interesting characters that have land that are in my dynasty right now. I'm not going to do that right now. If it shows up, you can of course do that, right? But I'm not going to do that because maybe you will have a lot of dynasty members that own land, and then your bastard son that has like one county or something won't show up on this maybe, right? So then I'm going to show you a little trick, because I can just go to the end screen and now you can see that there is the option to choose a new destiny. Of course, the current Duke of Toulouse is my player heir, so not my bastard son, right? But I can choose a new destiny. And now you can already see that I can select the Count of Montpellier because, as I said, it showed up because it's very interesting characters showing up over here, except your primary heir, of course. You can, by the way, see the difficulty over here is impossible to play as the Kingdom of Andalusia. I don't think that that's actually true, but anyways, you can see I can select him over here, but again, if you have a lot of landed characters of your dynasty, your bastard might not show up over here. But the interesting part is that apart from this current Duke, right, that is my primary heir, there are no other children of my previous ruler, so this one, you can see that are landed except my bastard. And that is exactly what I wanted to have, because now I can simply choose a random destiny over here, and then I can choose a random landed child. And that actually excludes the primary heir, because that wouldn't be a new destiny, right? That would be the normal destiny. And therefore, this random landed child is actually 100% this half-brother vassal over here, so this bastard son that I had, because it's the only other landed child. And therefore, I'm just going to choose that, continue as a random landed child, click it, and there we go. Now we are the Duke of Montpellier bastard son of my previous ruler, and now the same thing over and over again that I showed has to happen, which is I just need to get a child, and then the same thing happens that I showed 2 times already, which is I lose the bastard trait, I become the bastard founder, I get a new heir, and of course I start a new dynasty that I am of course considered the founder of that dynasty, but I'm still going to show up in the dynasty tree of the Toulouse dynasty, as you can see over there, as the founder of a new dynasty, and I'm also still known as a bastard son, of course, of my previous ruler. Now, of course, I'm so small, if I had the right culture, I could just become an adventurer by decision or something, right? I could always just lose my county and become adventurer, or I can try to work my way up again from a mer count with a new dynasty and make my own dynasty great again after I was of course refused by my previous dynasty as I was a bastard. And we are going to see, as always, on another Monday.